everybody, Sarah here at the Big Blue House Homestead. I'm sharing some of the weight that I did this year, and I say some of it because I lost a lot of it, and we'll get into that. But I want to just share with you why I had such a busy garden season. First of all, I preserved almost everything that I possibly could. I have my canning shelves filled, my pantry filled, and I have my freezers filled along with my dehydrated goods. So I did a lot of preserving with my garden. There was a lot of trials and tribulations this year that I had to work through, but it was wonderful. Such an absolutely amazing, abundant time for me with the garden this year. I was blown away at how much food I actually grew. I'm part of Shedwars, and in Shedwars, you have to be accountable for your weights. I probably should have done more videos just to share a lot of that, but in reality, I just didn't have the time to do everything because you can see I had time to save my food or I had time to film weigh-ins. I did do a few of those and I'll share those too, but reality was I was very super busy with my garden because it just kept growing and kept producing, and I had so much food that I saved. So let's walk around and show you what I've got going on and talk for a minute, and then I'm going to give you my final weights for what I grew this year. It's a lot. I can say it's almost a ton. It's a lot of food. Let me show you outside real quick because I still have food growing. A lot of this is just transplanted recently, but I have a lot of stuff still going on in buckets and bins. Some things just aren't doing well. Had a hard season. I ended up with only 8 inches of rain the entire season. So not having a lot of rain, it was hard to keep up with everything being watered. I also ended up with an entire crop of tomatoes that went bad. So I was counting on those to can with, and I lost about 45 plants. Just harvested my chives, so yeah, they look awful right now. But I ended up losing about 45 plants. That was rough. I've bought new tomato seeds. I will no longer ever grow the Mountain Princess tomatoes. They were just awful. They got diseased, and I lost every bit of it. I also ended up getting really sick with the virus going around right now. And so there were a few weeks where I just could not harvest anything. I could not go out and pick a single thing because I was just too sick. I mean, just way too sick. Look at those beautiful carrots in there. But I was just way too sick, and my family was sick, and we were all down. So I lost a lot of produce then. I walked out in the garden, and it absolutely looked like a tomato graveyard. Things rotted off the vine, and it was just horrible. And because of that, I ended up with the great rat infestation of 2021. That's what I'm going to call it. That was where every rat came through and enjoyed and feasted on everything that was left in my garden. I also killed my pineapples. It got too cold for them and I forgot to bring them in, so that's now compost. And a lot of this just needs to be harvested because it's just herbs. But yeah, it was really sad because no rain, loss of crops, and loss of produce, and I did the best that I absolutely could with what I had to work with. All right, here's how tech savvy I am. I don't own a microphone, and I don't know how to insert pictures and talk over them. So I'm filming on my phone, and you can just see my computer screen. And I apologize, it's kind of tacky, but that's the best I can do. I want to share a lot of these images. It's not all the pictures that I took this year, but I want to share these because I did have a lot of negative comments. People said that I was purchasing from the grocery store. They also said that I was weighing the same produce over and over. Had a couple comments about my garden cart was the same squash from the day before, things like that, and that wasn't true. And my favorite was the local farmer's market. I never went to a farmer's market. Ours is 40 minutes one direction and an hour and a half the other, and I am not going that far for ugly produce. I'll just grow it in my backyard. But anyway, Shedwars is a really fascinating aspect to learning how to grow. It's a community of people that teach you how to grow your own food. Fishing and foraging and hunting are allowed as well, and raising animals. But I think the most important part of it is to learn how to garden. And so I really enjoyed my time in Shedwars this year. The good and the bad didn't matter. I really enjoyed my time. I wanted to join last year, but I was too new to YouTube, so I just didn't feel comfortable. And I really came out of my shell this year and tried. So I got into Shedwars, and I did what I could, and I taught what I could, and I enjoyed it. I learned a lot from a lot of people. I met a lot of great new friends, and it's just something that I will probably continue to do. In fact, yeah, I'm going to be back next year. So With that being said, I grew a lot of food, and Shedwars really did keep me accountable to help me with my garden, keeping it clean, learning new tips and tricks, and even, weighing my food. There was a lot of produce this year, a lot. And so I kept all of my weight separate so that I could calculate it all in the end. And I turned in my weight in October, and I had a lot of food. I grew 1,292.11 pounds of just produce. I also gave away an additional 267 pounds. 267 pounds of food. And that was to friends and neighbors and family. I also gave away 50 jars of canned goods, like home canned goods. And with that, I didn't know how to take away the weight from everything, so I didn't count any of my eggs. So I have no egg weight added into this at all. But the final total I turned into John for October was 1,670 pounds of food. Look at this. You see that table completely covered. 1,670 pounds of food grown this year. And then in November, I didn't turn anything in. So I didn't count my eggs again. And I'd given away a lot of canned goods, again, because my family comes and gets them anytime they can. But I gave away a lot of, canned goods. So I didn't count eggs. And I ended up growing from October to November 214.7 pounds of food. With that being said, my total poundage for the entire garden season was 1,884 pounds of produce. That is a lot. Cannot believe I grew that much. If I would have had the rains, it would have been even bigger and heavier and, just more abundant. Plants would have done better. It would have just been probably almost double this. Unbelievable. So next year, I'm coming back strong and hard. I've already bought everything I need to do drip irrigation and watering better in my garden. With it being a drought, I had to do everything by hand, and that was hard. So I've already bought everything to make sure that I have that for next year. I've also purchased new seeds since my tomato seeds went bad. And those plants did not thrive for me at all. I bought more seeds, and I'm going to go big and go strong next year. Okay, so I shared those pictures with you because I wanted to show you a lot of the food that I did grow. When I wrote all these numbers down to talk about in this video, I was blown away. I cannot believe I grew so much food. You can either take it as just the weight that I grew for Shedwars that I turned in October and give it 1,670 pounds, or the entire season weight, which was 1,884. Either way, I'm fine with, because that's far more than I expected, even during a drought. And I'm so proud of myself for this. All of that ended up preserved for my family, and I have a ton of food to grow. Everybody can do this. It is so easy to grow a garden, and I really wish, even if all you do is put a couple tomato plants in your backyard and a couple pepper plants and a couple cucumbers and things like that, you can learn to do this. This isn't just like I grew all of this, my entire life. I've always done gardening, but this is the only time I've done large scale gardening since I've lived here. And when I say large scale, I filled an average American's backyard with produce. So if you don't use your backyard for anything but barbecuing in a corner, grow your food there. You can grow that much food too. It is absolutely easy. You can do it. Just start today, start tomorrow, start in the spring, whenever. Grow some food. I was so proud to see how many people grew food this year, not only just in Shedwars, but throughout the YouTube community. It's amazing. It's mind-blowing that people are actually gardening again. I think it's a skill that's been lost and people need to know. And the proof right here is that in an entire year, or a garden season, I should say, you can also grow as much food as me. And next year will be probably doubled or tripled this. My intentions are to grow even bigger. So thank you guys for coming by to see the video. Thank you to all of you in Shedwars, and thank you for all of your support as always. And yeah, grow your own food, people. This is absolutely worth every minute of it. So thank you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.